I can't believe I get to host you. Welcome to Fast Politics Joy Reid.
It is so good to be with you, Molly. I miss you, girl. Like,
I
we gotta
missed
do this in
you.
person. What's
I
happening?
I know we need a DC. Well, we need a DC,
Okay.
But we were just talking before, and the question was like, Trump 2.0 is proof that you should never say it can't get
That's
worse.
correct. Yes, never say that because then it will literally get worse. I mean, this is and I knew it would be bad. We were on air to we were doing, "Hey, Project 2025, guys, it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be
Yeah.
bad." But, what I underestimated was the aggressiveness of the grift and of the theft and of the destruction. I mean, even and I've been a longtime OG, anti-Trumper for a long time, from
Yeah.
basically my whole life, adult
Yeah.
life. Never did I get in my wildest nightmares literally taking it down a part of the White House, like, literally just taking the White House apart. Like, he might as well have put, like, a little bomb in it and just blew up the East Wing.
Well,
Like,
he basically did. I mean, there's no
yeah,
more East Wing. It's
it's
gone.
gone. I mean, evaporating the East Wing it was not on my worst bucket list.
But
No.
I have to say, like, I wonder about the East Wing. Like, we've seen times where, like, because Trumpism has been so radical, it's the every time there's like a wave of white supremacists or of pushing back of rights, right?
Yeah,
Broadly, both but in many different aspects of our lives,
yeah,
to many different groups. Every time there's been a wave of that, there's been a certain kind of gaslighting that's gone along with that.
yes.
And so something like the East Wing, you're just like, he just tore down part of the White House.
Right, and he'll do more. And I think what we have to do, and I used to always say with Trump, you have to use your lurid imagination, right? You have to
Yeah.
think of things you could not imagine in your worst nightmares. He will do them all because I think what we have to fundamentally understand is Donald Trump is not an American president.
Right.
Right. I mean, there is a certain kind of range of behaviors, even of the worst American
Right.
presidents, Andrew
Right.
Johnson,
Right.
Richard Nixon. I would argue Woodrow Wilson was a
Yes.
horrible,
Yeah.
racist,
Yes.
shitty human being,
Yeah, yeah,
but they
yeah.
all fell within a certain range of behaviors, right? When
Yeah.
you said to Richard Nixon, "You are violating the law and you are going to be impeached," he said, "You know what? Let me resign."
Yeah.
Right? Like, there was a
Yeah.
range of behaviors. Trump is
Norms.
far outside of those. There's no that you cannot compare him to any previous president because they were American presidents. Whatever their other issues and problems and faults, they actually fundamentally believed in the United States Constitution. Trump does not.
No.
Donald Trump doesn't believe in any of this.
No.
He looks at the Russian system and says that's better. He looks at the Chinese communist system and says that's better because she
Right.
is absolutely treated
As a
as a
ruler.
as a god king. He looks at like a Mobutu. He's like, I want that. Like, he's not an American president. So
Yeah.
I just think we have to stop trying to frame. And I think the media makes the mistake of trying to treat him like an American president. You need to start treating him like
Mhm.
Putin.
Right.
Like,
No,
'cause
I
that's
think
what he wants to be.
right. And I think that's a really good point. And it gets me to like one of my favorite hobby horses, which is norms versus laws, right? Like
Right.
so much of American life, American politics especially, is this idea that that you don't need laws for certain things. Like you don't need a law. You can't rip down half the White House because it
Right.
won't happen because of
Right.
norms.
Well, here's the thing that's so interesting. And I have this working theory that one of the reasons that we are here is the founders, that it is
Yeah.
in the end, it is their fault
Yeah.
because they were such patrician elites and so out of touch with the common man that they built a system designed to never be run by the common man. They just
Mhm.
presumed that all presidents and senators would be patrician men like themselves, who
Mhm.
were of the great families of Europe. George Washington is literally, like, I believe, related to, Mad King George, like they're family
Mhm.
members. So in their minds, this system was built to perpetuate that white
Right.
male elite and that
Right.
no one of the common class would ever become a leader in this country, wouldn't be a senator, wouldn't be a congressman, wouldn't be a president. And so they built a system saying, well, we don't need to make these things laws.
Right.
Egads, these can simply be the norm. George Washington can simply fail to run for a third term, and all of the people who follow will do the same. And they all did.
Right.
until FDR said, "Yeah, no, I'm gonna stay. I think I'm just gonna stay."
Yeah.
And then he did 4 terms, and people went,
Yeah.
"Ooh, I think we might need a law." And so they had to do a law to get him to go, but he was, the consent of the people said we wanted him for life, and we got
Right.
president for life. And so, but Trump is not even, at least FDR was still of that same elite class, but he was just a
Right.
traitor to that
Right,
class. He
right,
was saying, "I'm
right.
willing to betray
Right.
it." Trump comes of the kind of immigrant that came in long after all that shit was created. His family gets here in the late 19th century. The granddaddy, the progenitor is a pimp. He's like, I'm gonna
Right.
pimp women and try to find
Right.
gold. Like, you know what I
Right,
mean?
right,
They
right.
come from like a common, but his whole thing was just the from the grandfather, the parents on, the dad. All of them are just about the money grubbing grift that
Right.
America and its freedoms provide.
Right.
They never bought into the sort of the sort of dreamscape of democracy. They just are like, "Oh, we can get rich here."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is all Trump inherited, was the
Right.
grimy, grubby grift. That's what his family was about, escaping Bavarian
Yeah.
laws about, conscription for the draft dodging, grimy real estate in Queens where we're gonna keep the blacks out of our
Right.
buildings. We're
Mm.
gonna say we like the Jews, but we kinda hate the Jews,
Right,
but we're
right.
gonna,
Well,
like,
it's
try to
based on
use the Jews.
anti-Semitism, right, too, because they need the
Exactly. So it's
money.
like
Yeah.
they would have been quite at home in Nazi Germany,
Yeah.
these Drumpfs, and
Right.
this is what we've got. And so they are norm breakers because they don't believe. I think people just presume he's breaking the norm. No, he doesn't believe in them.
But there is also this question, and this is like Trump, but this is also, I think, America right now, which is we have hit a moment where there is no such thing as too much, right? Like you have
Right.
someone like Bezos where right? Or you have someone like Zuckerberg. These people have decided that Trumpism will help them get what they want, despite the fact that so talk us through how you think
Well,
because that seems like part of this.
it is. It's the same thing, right? These are. I mean, look at all this. The PayPal mafia. These are white
Right.
South Africans whose people dragged every resource and possibility out of South Africa,
Mm,
rinsed it clean, and then bounced to America to do it here. They
mm,
took and stole everything that they could from South Africa,
mm,
left its indigenous people with nothing, destroyed their lives, enslaved them. These are
mm,
them and the Afrikaners, and then moved in and said that God said we could do this. We're taking everything. We're going to rinse this country clean of its resources, leave it empty, dry, a shattered hull, and then we're going to come to America and reproduce the same thing. That's all these people are. Jeff Bezos, these people they don't care about democracy. They're like Trump. They're not doing this at under duress. This is who they are. Mark Zuckerberg, he and the Winklevosses, the Winklevi as they call them,
mm.
at Harvard, Facebook was just a way to rate girls' looks.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
wasn't some high-minded idea of creating a public square. No, it was to rate women in the
Yeah.
most nasty, misogynist way, and they took that paper. It wasn't even an original idea. They
Right,
used to
right,
just take the Facebook and circle girls that are at 10 and girls that are at 2. Then they took and digitized that and created a thing that's only purpose is to make just Mark Zuckerberg rich. The
yeah.
only purpose that Amazon isn't about making the small family store or taking it digital. No, it's about
Right.
making him rich. This is the new ethos of America, and I hate to say it, the founders were like, "What we gotta do to be rich? Oh, we gotta enslave these blacks?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
we gonna kidnap them from
yeah,
where now? Okay, we're gonna take them, put them like kindling, tie them up in a boat, and okay, if that's what we gotta do." So we
mm,
wanna give them all of this credit for high-mindedness. They were just like, "No, we're gonna do slavery to get rich, and we don't wanna be taxed.
yeah,
Revolution." And
yeah,
so you've bequeathed a nation who it's why a lot of our families come here because it's like, "Oh, this is a place where you can prosper
mm,
financially. This
right,
is a country built solely on capitalism, but it's layered over with this sort of false morality that says it's
yes,
Christian, but
yeah,
all it really is just
yes,
grubby, grimy, greedy fucking capitalism." So
mhm.
Trump is the perfect president. We actually deserve this. This is the president America has earned in some ways. I mean, it's
Uh,
the president America wants, apparently. Our
so,
heart's desire.
yeah, and it's funny because it's like, I feel like we've been through so much. I was thinking about that cycle with the Biden reelect. In my mind, a lot of mistakes were made, and, you can't I don't know that you can necessarily blame one person for it. What it feels like one of the things that I've been really happy, one of the very few things I've been happy about is that Trump 1.0, it was like, if you were a Democratic politician, you could say Orange Man bad, and you could raise $5 million
Yeah.
and have a best-selling book, and like, and this time that's not true. And ultimately, actually, I think it's better. So, like, I'm thinking about Gavin Newsom. Like, I have never seen a Democratic politician do something like, oh, yeah, they're going to take 5 seats. We're going to fucking take 5 seats and we're going to do a special
Yes.
election for it. Have you ever seen that? Because I'm still seeing Chuck be like, we won't go. I voted no.
It's
Discuss.
they don't get it because I think and again, if you go back to why 80 million people, knowing that Donald Trump was responsible for 1 million dead in COVID, knowing that that happened, why would they choose him again? If you ask people why they voted for him, I go right back to my original thesis. They say he made me money.
Right.
I made more money. Why were they mad about COVID shutdowns? Well, because we couldn't make money.
Right.
Because Americans have been groomed to think that the only
Right.
real true American value is greed.
Yeah.
Greed is good. It is the American primary value. All of the religious lies and bullshit is just a way to control women, control blacks, and make more money, right? So in a money culture, of course, people said, I wasn't making money with Biden. I'm making money with Trump. Give me that,
Right.
right? And now that they're
Right.
realizing, oh shit, you're gonna deport me and my friends and my family, and
No.
the tariffs are gonna get but in their mind, a lot of Trumpers, a lot of these voters were not like MAGA cultists. Some of them just were like, he's gonna get me money. Even a lot of the Latino voters, people think immigration's their number one issue. No, when you poll Latinos, it's economics, it's finance. So because
Right.
this is a country built on it, but I think what happens with the Democrats, they are not that. A lot of Democrats, like the Schumers of the world, they're goo-goo good government people.
Right.
They're the kid who ran for student council
Right.
president in high
Right. They're
school.
nerds.
They're nerds. And so in their mind, they're like, no, it's about good government. And Americans are like, nah, man, it's about the coins. I
Yeah.
want Trump. And now that it's not working out, what's happening is the kind of Democrat who's built for this is the kind that understands the culture. The
Yeah.
culture right now is crass, it's memes,
Yeah.
it's
Craven.
vibes.
You got to be Craven.
You gotta be and Gavin gets it. Gavin has
Yeah.
always kind of been ahead of the curve a little bit. I mean,
Right.
he was on gay marriage.
Right.
He just understands the vibes, and so
Right.
he's like, "No, I'm gonna ride this vibe, but I'm gonna ride it at a time when people are realizing what we need now is to ameliorate the greed culture
Yeah.
and go to an affordability culture."
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Because if you can't make it, if you can't financially survive, then greed culture isn't helping you.
Right.
Now I need like what
Exactly.
Mamdani is doing, which is
Right.
survival culture.
Right.
And we've moved from greed culture to where people are kind of disgusted by greed culture because if I can't make it, then I'm disgusted by greed culture.
Right.
And he gets it. Now it's survival culture. And also it's pushing back on cruelty, on the cruelty culture of Trump and saying, oh, I can give it right back to you. And that's what people want. They don't
Nope.
want Schumer being like, we did 40 days of a holdout for nothing.
Let's just gaming this out. Had it been you, what would you have done? You definitely have to shut down the government. You know it's coming, right? But what
Yes.
are your asks?
First of all, I don't believe Chuck Schumer when he pretends that he was against this because there are only two choices for Chuck. Either you are a weak leader who had no control of your caucus and
And
8 members went behind your back and
right.
changed the policy that you were leading on
Right.
without you and then left
Right.
you to vote no for it, which
Which
means you shouldn't be leader. Okay, so that's choice A. Choice B is you hid behind those 8 people because none of them are up for reelection next cycle.
and some of them are retiring and some of them are they're exactly like if you look at each one of those 8, each one is in a
Each one.
unique position to
Yes.
be able to vote yes.
Correct. Correct. Well, Durbin's leaving, Gene Shaheen, like you pick the exact right group of people to tuck yourself behind, and which is also you're not a good leader. So either way, it's not good. But then the third piece of it that to me is the most egregious is that you let this happen anyway, the shutdown happen anyway, with no plan to win, no
Mhm.
plan to what the finish line looked like. So
Yep.
you didn't think through that, which means you're not a good leader.
Right.
And also, no plan to ameliorate what you knew would be the suffering. And you're the only political party of the two that actually cares about the suffering. Republicans, let me be clear, they don't care if their own people starve to death and
No.
die. They don't care if their
No.
own people have no health care and die. They genuinely do not care about the life and death of their own citizen, their own constituents that voted for them, nor does Trump. None of these people care about anyone. The Democrats actually are the goo-goo government people who do care.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you're telling me you had no plan? So if it was me and I'm the leader, I would say, first of all, no one goes off my message. We're gonna all do the same thing together. And if you don't, good luck with your reelect because
Right.
you won't get a dime.
Right.
Your
Right. Right.
your
Right.
reelect won't happen. All they care about is getting reelected and say, I
All they care
promise
about.
you, you will not be funded. So I would Nancy Pelosi them. You will stick with my plan. Okay, so that's
Yeah.
number one. But next,
Yeah.
I gotta have a plan. The Democrats said no health care, no vote. That's what
Right.
they set up as their metric for success.
Which they knew was never going to happen. That was
They knew.
billions of dollars. Like
They
it
knew.
wasn't. Yeah. Go on.
They knew it was never gonna, right. They knew that these people fundamentally hate Obamacare.
And
So
the whole point is it's a skinny Obamacare repeal. So like,
it
okay.
is.
Yeah.
It's a skin, and they want healthcare costs to go up, 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 right? So
Right.
you don't have an end game that you know can be successful. But what you could have done is you could have put on the table a series of things Republicans would have to say no to in public. So if you're gonna, I think no healthcare, no vote was smart because it did rally people to say, even people who were literally losing their jobs and
Right.
hungry, and so they were like, keep fighting because we can't afford to let these subsidies go down. They never though proposed a series of things that were very hard to say no to. You know, you could have done things like, first of all, they never highlight. I was highlighting it on my podcast every day. They were not highlighting the fact that you all made the tax cuts permanent. The tax cuts were just as temporary as these subsidies. If you
Right.
could do one, why can't you? Why weren't you saying that every day, Chuck? You made this one permanent,
Right.
which costs $4 trillion.
Right.
This one costs less than $1 trillion. This is only a third
Right.
of $1 trillion. So
Right.
this one's cheap. So they should have, but number one, that messaging was poor. They should have made
Yeah.
that very, very clear. They should
Yeah.
have made the point that the Speaker of the House is literally saying no food
Right.
unless you let me make your healthcare costs skyrocket.
Yeah.
You starve unless you let me. They should have been saying that. People on social media were saying it. They weren't saying it. And then you just keep ratcheting up the ask. You say, okay, we want the healthcare subsidies to be made permanent. You're saying you don't like them because you don't. The Cato Institute says the subsidies go to the insurance companies. Fine. Our ask is flip the subsidies, make them go to the people. Can you imagine how powerful the ask would have been if we say that we, the Democrats, have said we ourselves are willing to update Obamacare, and we want to make this change. The subsidies will go to the people
Yeah.
in an account the people can control, and we
Yeah.
want the same amount of subsidy, but rather than sending it to United Healthcare, let's send that subsidy to the people.
Yeah.
Dare you to say no to that. Now the American people have a stake in no healthcare, no vote. Because now you're saying money for me? Because remember, we're in an economy that is about the Benjamins. It's about money. And now if you say to people, we the Democrats are saying you get the ultimate stimmy, your money, not in a subsidy to your healthcare company, but a
Yeah.
subsidy to you. And then say, are you going to vote for that? And you keep ratcheting up that ask
Right.
publicly so that people know what you're fighting for that is going to benefit them personally. And then if they say no to that, then you say, okay, you don't want that? What if we just do single payer? And then explain to people what that is and say,
And
why don't we say that everybody gets now you don't pay nothing to go to the doctor.
Right.
And
Can you imagine?
listen, just keep making a
Unbelievable. Yeah.
public ask that
Right.
and then if Republicans, we know they're going to say no, but then they were already losing the shutdown war. But if Democrats had been putting out there literally the subsidy, people don't even know what the subsidy going to. Can you imagine Republicans having to say no in Missouri to their Missouri constituents, white folks coming up to them and say, why can't I have this subsidy in my account,
Why
my
can't I have
bank
free
account?
healthcare? Why can't I have free healthcare?
Why?
Why? No,
Why?
and I have to say that I think the worst moment of the whole thing was Angus King saying, "Well, we stood up to Trump, and it didn't work."
Like, what?
First of all, it did work, you fucking moron. But second of all, like, my head nearly exploded.
At a certain point, it's voter suppression.
Yeah.
You had people come out, and 7 million people came out minimum for these No King's Day protests. This is fueled by them supporting your position, Democrats. Then you have an election day that was a blue wave wipeout for Republicans.
Yeah.
And it's on the strength of these same issues. And then you're like, yeah, but that didn't work. Let's go ahead and lose.
Unfucking believable.
Okay.
Joy Reid, Thank you for joining me.
I
Thank you,
love
thank
it.
you.
Thank you
Yes.
for having me. Maybe
Oh.
these Democrats will learn one day, girl. They gonna listen to us one day.